2020. It's going to be the year that we all know as the year that decimated small businesses, retail shopping as we know it, malls, restaurants. Basically, if you owned a small business, you were devastated. If you owned a big business, you did quite well. Amazon, Lowe's, Home Depot, we're looking at you. It's been that kind of year, but an industry that's quite overlooked is the movie and commercial and TV industry. Those folks have been out of work for months. They're finally getting back. Now, the great news is shows like Mandalorian are going to be returning to us in October, so we're excited because that was filmed before. But other shows are just now getting to production. Movies that we know, like Mulan, Bill and Ted's new movie, and Top Gun 2, most of those movies have gone straight to streaming or have been able to get finished. So we're going to talk to some amazing folks today about Hollywood, what's going on and what we can expect and what the quarantine has been like for these talented creators and artists. We've got this and a whole lot more coming up next. And this is To The Point. We've got a good show for you today. I know, stop me if you've heard me say that before. Now, we're going to be talking about an industry that, well, we all are very familiar with because we spent so much time watching Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Apple TV, and others during this COVID quarantine. So we're going to talk today to people in Hollywood. We're going to get what it's like being in quarantine in Los Angeles, what it's like trying to film, and their new movie that they've been able to at least try to release coming in 2021. It's going to be a heck of a conversation, but let's keep in mind, this has been a struggle. Never before, I mean, could you imagine in the early, when the first pandemic hit back in the early 1900s, if people would be behaving the way they are today? Questioning every doctor, politicians knowing more than doctors. Exactly how this works, we really don't know. Yet we do know for fact that we should probably go with doctors before politicians. When I'm going and I have a cold, I don't go see my sitting Republican senator or Democrat or my mayor. No, I go to the doctor. Now, if I need legislation passed, I go see one of them. That's what I don't understand. And somewhere along the way, we've lost this connection with reality towards how we're supposed to handle these things. So many people know so much about everything, yet even it comes to Hollywood. And now, I'm not defending Hollywood. Let's be careful here because they get their own political agenda and they come forth and think they could do that. And we've heard from our amazing guests like Cooper Lawrence that Hollywood really doesn't have that much of a placebo effect on people in voting. Now, this is where it gets interesting. We need Hollywood. We enjoy the entertainment. And it's not just the actors and actresses up on the set. It's the people behind the production and post-production. It's the people who provide the catering. All these people have roles and jobs. So you saying, well, we can do without Hollywood. Actually, we can't because commercials drive ads. And as much as you say you don't want to watch certain networks, you end up watching. Why do you think Fox has such amazing ratings right now? I'll fill you in on a secret. It's either the people who really love Fox or the people who really tuned in to watch Cops and watch the people wearing other people's pants say, those are other people's pants. Those aren't my drugs. So that's what you have when it comes to this wonderful world we live in. So we depend on Hollywood. We depend on our commercials. We depend on it. As much as we try to go away from it, here's a fast reminder. Remember about a decade or so ago when satellite radio came out? What did satellite radio tell us? They told us we would never have ads. That's why you should like satellite radio because unlike radio, traditional radio, we don't have ads. That's a big lie because I have satellite radio and I gotta listen to the same darn commercials all the time. We need ads. That's why even the show has ads and sponsors. So ads are good. Those are people going to work. We're putting Americans to work, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. Our talented artists and creative folks. And creatives are everything from actors and actresses to everyone else in one big happy little tribe. And those are the folks we're going to talk about today. So when we come back from the break, we're going to get to the point with today's guest. So stay tuned. We got a lot coming your way. Got a good show. So let's get to the point. Thanks for coming back from the break. So we're excited. Let's get started. We're fired up. We love Hollywood. We've been depending on movies and Netflix to get us through quarantine. So let's talk to the folks that are on the front lines dealing with this and get to the point with today's amazing guests. Welcome to the show, Augie and Michael. How are you guys doing today?
We're here.
We're fantastic.
We're here. I think that's the standard answer to anyone living in California is like, we're just here, man. We're just living that quarantine life where you get arrested going to the beach.
We're alive. We're thankful to be alive right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so let's get right to it. You both are professional actors, right? Is that right? I just want to make sure I'm clear. I go through this and I've been told that actors is plural, like it fits everybody. It doesn't have a sex behind it. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no. Yeah. On occasion, we're actors. No.
You can say actress if you're distinguishing between a couple people just to clear things up, but actor is actor.
Okay. We have to be PC around here. I don't need people who wear red hats and tell me to make America great, yelling at me that I'm being offensive.
They ruined the red hat.
They did ruin the red hat has been ruined. I like red. I'm a Marine. We like the color red. It's like one of our favorite colors. We're like, it's a big color of ours, and you ruined it. But anyways, so what has it been like? Obviously, you're both in a profession that has been affected, just like our friends in retail and our friends, especially small businesses, have been devastated. But as actors, this has really hit you guys because you can't be on set, and it's been like a shutdown. So let's start that off first. You live in California. What is it like being a professional in the state of California, not able to do your profession?
Well, for me personally and selfishly, I'm already a homebody, so I was like, oh, darn, I can't go out. Shucks.
Yeah.
So that part worked in my benefit, but then when you really can't go out for a month, when it hits a month, you're like, oh,
yeah,
shit.
It was great at the start, and then it got weird, a little bit weirder, and, every now and then it's great to go have a pint at the bar,
And then you're like,
oh, pick up your shoes.
But then you're like, but I love you, but then I want to murder you. No, I would never.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of couples are going through that.
Must be so interesting to have a couple talking about COVID right now, too.
Yeah.
It feels like it's at my house talking about it because, the wife, but I added in the kids too, so we're all kind of like, there's nothing like being on solitary confinement with 3 other people who 2 of them went to school for 8 hours a day, and we were able to work here, but we were able to travel too. I used to travel to LA once a month and New York once a month. So all of a sudden, my favorite places to go, the favorite people I see, it's gone, and it's just devastating. So talking to you guys is one of the big things. I'm a huge movie fan. Production is a big part of my other side of my life, and it's like, it's hard to see you guys go without work. It's like they take it away, and then I'm the one going, and people are like, oh, it's just Hollywood. And I'm like, okay, well, just Hollywood is not just actors and actresses that you may not like politically for whatever reason, but it's also the caterers on set, all the production people, the director, all those people affected. And even if you go shoot in a city, the businesses around there, because people will, and I think it's just horrible. So what is it like? I mean, have they done any filming in California? Is there anything going on?
Yeah, she's done 2 projects already recently. Yeah.
But it felt like a year that I didn't work, probably because of, it takes a village, like you say, it does. It takes a lot of people, and everyone was out of work. And it's funny what the mind does when you don't have that. because you're sort of codependent on that. I finally got into production about a month ago or 2 months ago around, and you have to take the COVID test, and everything's strict, and they have to add a bunch of money on top of money for that as well. So it's interesting times, that's for sure. I was very thankful to be back on set, but that's rare right now. It's weird times.
It's still very rare, yeah. The whole industry is still kind of shut down. I mean, they're trying to eke in a few projects here and there, but yeah. But everyone's saying that the good thing about this, the silver lining, is that pre-production can go on. Pre-production's been going on for 5 months for people. So writers and location scouters, whatever those people that are in pre-production have a ton of time to prepare for your next movie. I assume when things open up, people are just going to start shooting movies left and right. I mean, right?
Yeah, well, we hope. But then it's also like you're so blessed if you are on set. So when people see I'm working, which I don't even want to post about it because I feel bad.
Guilty. Isn't that weird?
Everyone wants to work so badly. Oh my God, you're working. You should be so lucky. I'm like, you know what? I know. Because you're not, but it's different. You have to wear the whole mask and the whole thing. I don't know. We're in a post-apocalyptic world right now.
Yes,
right? It's like being in a zombie movie, but not being in a zombie movie. I mean, it's without the zombies. I mean, there's MAGA hat people, so they're kind of like zombies, but that works. Look at it. I did that naturally. It's the first time I've ever called them zombies. Yes.
Like you're in a movie. It's weird. Yeah.
But it's funny you bring up, the pre-production, and I look at it as like post-production because I'm going, ooh, The Mandalorian second season is dropping in October. They've had a lot of time for colorization, and that should probably be the finest tuned episodes ever because, right? They're just like, boom. All they've done is sat there at Lucasfilms, like, okay, perfect.
Lucky to have that time. It's true. Even the film we did, 645, they got to go right into the editing booth because they had nothing else lined up anymore. Everything was canceled. Yep. So they got to really work selfishly on our film, which I was happy about.
Yeah. And that's funny that you guys bring that up because I have one film to my credit as a producer, and we filmed it. It was an EDM silent film. No, there's EDM music in it, but the actors they're just acting without words. It's interesting. Anyways, it's a whole other thing. It's like we paid people to be actors and they didn't have lines. It was a good deal. And one of them was in La La Land, so we're kind of bragging rights. But doing that, you're right, because we were rushed. We filmed it, put it in a can, and then we had to go do edits, but we had to do that because we ran out of money. So edits came on weekends when we could get booth time to go and do post-production. So it took almost a year to get that out. So I am hearing the benefit of films that have wrapped. There's a lot of good production because you're able to sit in there and get it done. Because what else are you going to do? And you can use most of the same things that you're editing, even from an editing bay at home. In fact, the DNC was produced, the Democratic National Convention was produced from home. And I saw the behind the scenes, so it was really cool to see them do that. They didn't show it at the RNC, and I can only imagine what that was like. I just imagine Fraggle Rock, and that's what that probably looked like. But, hey, wait a minute, hold on, before we go on. Do you guys know the movie Buckaroo Banzai?
Yeah, in the 21st century.
Thank you.
Oh, here we go.
First guest to say yes to that. I've had two people from the comic book world who could not identify that movie. They're like, what movie are you talking about? Jeff Goldblum's in it.
Wacky movie, and I love it, man. That's the one you smoke a little of the wacky tobacco and you watch that. You know what I mean?
It's great. Jeff Goldblum is like a hipster cowboy in that movie, like way before hipster cowboys were cool. I mean,
it's pretty bad, but it's bad good. It's one of those bad good movies, better than Ice Pirates.
I knew he would know it. I'm like, he knows all that stuff. I'm like,
I like Michael a lot more now because he's the first guest to identify one of my favorite bad movies. It's like, it's so bad it's good. It's like,
Terry Gilliam's my favorite director, so you can see sort of where my movies kind of fall into. It's Terry Gilliam and Ridley Scott, and they're completely polar opposites, probably, but it's so.
Well, I'm like a big Oliver Stone, and I love Quentin Tarantino, and I always get people with Tarantino that he actually was a big part of the Crimson Tide, which was a great Gene Hackman, and of course Denzel Washington, whose boy is like an amazing actor also. Most people don't know that Denzel's oldest son is he's in Tenet. I mean, it's funny. People are like, no, that's not Denzel Washington's son. I'm like, yeah, it actually is. Like,
he's great. He's great.
I'm like, he's ultra talented, and that movie's getting rave reviews. So before we go to break, what do you guys? I mean, how is this going to affect what we're normally seeing Because now we're coming up with the winter films that we're used to being released. I know the past few years, Star Wars has always made sure to give us something in the Christmas season. How do you see this affecting the industry? I mean, we really don't have anything to come out in November and December during the holiday season. I mean, they're not filming Christmas movies, right?
What I would think is, like I was talking pre-production and writing, is like this time, if you're a writer for film or whatever medium, this was the time for you to kick out all your pages, man. If you didn't kick out a ton of pages during the pandemic, then you can't really call yourself a writer. I assume there's got to be a ton of content now because nothing's been shot, so they're going to have stacks and stacks of scripts that they're going to start pitching to everybody or have already pitched. So I hope a lot of content comes out. I mean, we're already inundated with content, Netflix, Hulu, everything, Amazon. So much. So, but I think now it's going to be just like, what are we going to shoot? We have so much.
That is
right.
I mean, it's affecting all of us already. So.
So when we come back from the break, we're gonna talk about the movie 645. You've heard them talk about it. So we're gonna kind of jump in and talk about a movie. And you shot this in January, right? January 2020, when the world was normal. Back
just
10 years ago in January. I remember January.
15 years ago.
Before the winter storm.
Before
the fallout.
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming. Here we go. Game of Thrones. It's real life. It's called 2020, baby. There we go. Just don't let me down with a bad finale. That's all I ask. Just don't. Did he go there? He did. Yeah. I mean.
645 the sequel. We'll see it. Yeah.
We'll see if we get it's a prequel, isn't it? Isn't that what they're trying to do? Who knows? But when we come back from the break, we're going to talk more. We're actually going to learn about your movie 645 and what it was like to shoot 25 years ago in January, which will excite everybody because we'll remember January as that's how 2020 started. That actually is a month, folks, that we went through. So we come back from break, we're going to have more to talk about. So we're back. So let's talk about your film. So you filmed in January of 2020, like we said before break. That was like 28 years ago. We're going to add years to this. We started with 10, 15. You're going to see it's like BobaCon 2020 has been way too long. It's like the longest time ever. Like I still feel like we're in March, and it's just like So from what I understand, some background in your movie, it's like Groundhog Day, right? It's kind of like being in quarantine. The day just starts over again. So without me spoiling it, and of course it's not out yet, so I haven't watched it, so you can you fill us in on what it's about so I don't butcher this any more than I already have as the host of the show? Fill us in on what 645 is about.
The non-comedy version of Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
It could be funny. Who knows? We'll see. I don't know.
There's some light humor in it, but it's pretty dramatic and it's pretty brutal. The repeating days, the character Bobby I played just goes through hell. Like and you don't know really. I think they do have title cards like in Groundhog's Day. They had day 60 or day 100 or who knows. Bill Murray could have been there for 15 years. We don't know, right? But Bobby's been going through this for who knows how long. So it kind of spans through a bunch of different how he feels about the day. He's the only one that knows, just so you know. Her character she plays doesn't realize the day's repeating. Only I do.
But you got to feel for me though, because I'm like dealing with almost a mental patient the entire time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is my man losing it?
Exactly, and your poor character has this like, my boyfriend's schizo now. What is going on with that? So I take her to a honeymoon where I'm going to propose, or just, not a honeymoon, somewhere I'm going to propose, probably this cute little quaint town, and I mean, giving it away that it happened, what happens, right?
Yeah, they go on a getaway, and the day repeats itself for himself.
And I have to solve why it repeats itself, and it's.
Are we making any sense?
Does this make any sense?
I feel like we lost Chris. We lost Chris about 10 minutes ago.
I don't want to give anything away.
I'm here. I'm like, okay, I'm tracking. I get it. The whole time I'm going, so like having a bad, like, violent day like John Wick? I mean, that's where I took that when you said that. Maybe it's your hair that has me thinking John Wick, so you're welcome, because John Wick, those are the 3 best movies ever. So there you go. You're welcome, Michael. There you go. See, you're welcome. Take that all day long. You can be like the great Keanu Reeves.
Did we lose you, Eric, for reals?
No, so, I like it because I don't want you to give away the plot, because it's bad enough because trailers come out and they ruin almost every movie because you're like, oh, I know this. Like, you know, not picking on Chadwick Boseman, the lovely actor, but 21 Bridges was pretty easy to like, you saw the trailer and I watched the movie, I was like, I got this plot, cops are dead, they gotta lock down New York, there's a lot of bridges, the guy from, you know, Friday Night, from Varsity Blues or Friday Night Lights is the bad guy, Black Panther is a cop, everybody went, okay, I got this plot. Yeah. So don't give away the plot, but that by the way, if you haven't seen 21 Bridges, you're welcome. I just made it so you don't.
I didn't see it. No.
You're welcome. Go watch Black Panther. It's much better.
It's a horror version of Groundhog's Day, and then, you know, a lot of movies have been doing this, right? Yeah. The day repeats itself, like Happy Death Day.
Happy Death Day was successful.
Doing really well for itself, yeah.
But that's again a comedy, and ours, is just kind of brutal and a drama.
So that leads me to an interesting question for you guys. So you're both in the movie together. You live together, and you're filming a movie together. And so in this movie, you're also playing a couple. So, okay. So how is that? Like, that's got to, you know, there's a lot of, like, my wife and I, we own our business together, so we work together. But we don't work where we now become other people besides like ourselves. Like, I'm Eric at all times, that's me, but you guys obviously as act professionals, you become other people. And when we think about it, I don't know why all of a sudden now I'm thinking Heath Ledger, just because he's always become great in his roles when Heath was with us. So what is that like going on set and then turning off the character? Because you guys have to become the character, right? So how does that work transitioning? I mean, is it like being bipolar at all times?
Yes.
Awesome. I like that. I like that you're honest. You're like, great, Eric just said we're bipolar, and I did. You're right.
Good description, Eric. Well, how was it? I mean, we met, well, we didn't really meet on set. I mean, we were friends before that, and then we worked on a film together before we were together as friends, and then we sort of
we just played friends in the movie, yeah.
Fell in love on that set behind the scenes.
That did happen. Is one of those classic kind of cliche things, you know.
Hey, two actors that fall in love on set. I've never heard it.
I've never heard that. I swear TMZ doesn't cover any stories like that, so you're good.
No.
Never.
No. What was it? I was actually a little bit worried beforehand. I'm not going to lie. I probably never told you this. I'm like, oh, God, I hope this is okay. I hope this goes well. Because am I going to want to, like, murder him? I don't know. But I actually liked it because I relied on you the whole time. You're sort of my therapist behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, even though he was slowly losing it the whole time. I actually really enjoyed it. So that's my personal experience. I don't know about you. He's like, yeah, me too.
Loved it.
It was good, and it's nice because we were always already very comfortable with one another, and when we're playing characters that, you know, get intimate in the film, and intimate physically and emotionally, it's when you work with actors you've never met before, or, you know, that kind of, there's always like, oh no, how's this going to be? Is it going to be weird? Is there going to be chemistry there? But obviously when you cast somebody, I mean, you don't want to go around making movies and casting couples all the time. That would be weird, right? But it happens every now and then, you know, and it was just super comfortable. The moments, the important dialogue bits, the physical bits, they're just all
But I think that's what,
natural.
Also the director, Craig Singer, I think that's what he wanted. He's like, you guys are a couple in real life, and you're also both artists and actors, so this could work or not, and luckily it did.
Yeah, it worked.
So where did you guys shoot this? Where was this movie's locations?
It was in Jersey.
Jersey.
Where were we? We're in all over. Ocean Grove. We stayed. Have you heard of Ocean Grove? It's a little tiny, little quaint beach town. No. But it was freezing.
I'll nod my head yes, and then I'll just be like, yeah, totally know right where it is.
Totally.
It's right on the beach.
Also, never heard of it, so it's okay.
Not from Jersey, so I don't know.
Yeah. And where were the other? the other town that we stayed in? That we were in? Oh my God, they're gonna kill us.
Well, Ashbury, I'll help. I can give you
Ashbury.
Yeah, Ashbury. That's why I'm here. I'm here for the trivia.
Thank you.
What is Ashbury? Here we go. See?
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, that was it. It was all gorgeous. It was beautiful. Overall, we got pretty good weather. It was cold.
No, it was
freezing. But we didn't shoot outside a ton.
We did. Okay. I was freezing my ass. He goes, we didn't shoot outside a ton?
Not a ton. It wasn't like Revenant or whatever.
See, for me, all I can remember is all the freezing cold days. But that's okay. We used it.
Yeah, well,
we did. That was good.
Well, I mean, I guess that makes sense now when you think about it. Like, it probably, no matter how cold it was, it still was probably good because that was probably, January before everything went away. You know, when all of a sudden the world, like somebody turned off the faucet. I mean, January. That's when that famous speech came out where there was 15 people who had COVID, and we're just gonna nip that in the bud and we'll be fine. Remember that? That was January. So in case you're playing at home. Almost 200,000 people dead later. We're cool. Those 15 people, I mean, I guess they're doing okay. We don't know. We haven't checked on them. But, I mean, that is interesting how you went and filmed and it was, winter. So filming, obviously, in the summertime, even L.A., you guys can film year-round and the weather is L.A. So it's L.A. I mean, let's just face it. So filming in Jersey. And are you native Californians or are you East Coasters?
I'm an LA native, so yep, okay. You are right about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, but Jersey cold? So, Michael, where are you from? Are you
as an Army brat.
Okay, so you've been everywhere.
Until I graduated high school, I played the gypsy life with my dad and then and mom. So, but then I kind of followed that same thing. Mostly East Coast, mostly Michigan, Texas, East Coast, Rhode Island. Yeah. But I've been here in LA now for 10 years.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that's outstanding. Well, awesome. So we learned a lot about the movie. So when we come back, we're going to talk more about filming on location. We were talking before the break about your movie, 6:45. I don't know why I had to look down and remember it's a time. It's easy. Obviously, it's a lot like Groundhog Day without comedy or anybody like Bill Murray in the movie. Yeah. But you have amazing actors in it and actresses that are in the movie, so you have a good director. So let's talk about a few of those folks because you've got folks that have been in movies like The Departed and Wolf of Wall Street, so we got to give love to great
Armen
movies.
And Warriors also, Tom Waits.
Tom Waits.
Yep. He was in Warriors, yeah.
So you have, Remy Ma, Thomas Waits, Craig Sager. I mean, the list goes on. And so what is it like being on a set with these folks that have been on, I mean, just talking about Armen alone, you look at The Wolf of Wall Street and Departed, right? Those two movies, I think everybody quotes those two movies. I mean, we all Leo crushed that role in Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, walking out, talking about all the drugs he used on a regular basis was prety hilarious. And the scene of him trying to get in his car after taking too many Quaaludes was even more winning because it's like, dude.
That was the best scene, like, honestly.
That was like first take, probably.
God, he killed it. Oh, now I want to watch that film.
It's like, whoa, we don't need to shoot anymore. That was incredible. In fact, we don't have enough film to.
That was a great scene. So what is it like being on set with obviously you've probably been on other sets with amazing, but what's it like to be around so many amazing people who have been, whether their roles are big or small, those are huge those are huge movies that are well known. I mean, and plus, you know, Armen, again, we'll pick on him some more. He was in The Sopranos. So another, and you know how The Sopranos folks are. They all roll together in everything they do. You know, and they obviously are a lot like Bruce Willis. They've never heard the word no, we won't take that role. So, yeah. What's it like being on set with these amazing folks?
Well, like I said when we were on break, is that the intimidating looking men or actresses that you think, oh God, they play really intense roles, they're like the sweetest teddy bears in real life. And then the nice ones, maybe not so much. No, I'm kidding. No, Armen was incredible.
Yeah.
He's like, I feel like he was the heart of the set. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say? I feel like Craig Singer, obviously our amazing director, was the heart of the set too, but Armen was just, everyone just fell in love with Armen Garo, like this big teddy bear.
He looks like a wise guy that could break your effing legs, your
like,
kneecaps, right? You swim with the fishes with this guy, but like, he was a teddy bear, and he was, and it's not like he's, you know, should be typecast as like the wise guy or whatnot, because he's actually got great range. Like, he's doing all of the stuff on set that is just all over the place and having fun with it.
He kept it exciting. If you're watching this, Armen, clearly we're in love with you.
It's great.
Loved everyone.
He was great. So down to earth.
Tom G. Waits.
Tom G. Waits.
Everyone brought something so. We love Tom G. Oh man, you and Tom G. Can we talk about? Can we give a secret away?
Can we do that? Yeah, I think that is it's worthwhile.
Tom G. Waits and Michael Reed kissed.
What is? Let me tell you the story. Okay, so we were setting up in the bar, one of the main bar locations, and Tom's in. He's on set and he's shooting before me. I'm doing something back at holding or whatever, waiting, doing my own thing. And so they're already shooting his angle, right, which I'm not in. He's setting up some shots and drinks, and like, this is the scene where I do a bunch of shots and get fucking drunk or whatever. And and so I just walk on set, and it's like, Michael's here. All right, can we get him in? Let's just get him in right away. We're already rolling it. Michael, go in there right now and just start rolling with Tom. And I was like, all right.
You never know what you're going to get with Tom G.
You never know. The guy is an improv god, and he's just all over the place, and it's exciting. And I was like, okay, let's go. I'm comfortable doing that. I can do that. And I go in there, and, you know, since it's going to be MLS without sound, there's music. It's a kind of a montagey scene. But we didn't have to worry about sound, so you could hear Craig directing in the background and suggesting things. And he's pouring me shots, and he's like, and we're getting all like drunk and just crazy. It's a trippy scene. He's like, all right, now kiss him. And as an actor, it took me, you know, I'm like, not prepared for this. Is this germane to the plot? All of these questions in my head happened in 1 second, right? In 1 second, and then I immediately was like, I went right in, and it was because it's a trippy scene. You'd have to watch the movie, obviously, to understand what's going on.
I hope they keep it. I hope they keep it because it's so random and amazing.
He said I was a good kisser. He's an icon. So.
I mean, he is an icon. I mean, you go back to probably his role. I mean, to me as a movie fiend, The Warriors is a great. I mean, I watched that with my kids, and I think that was kind of almost pushing. We love New York, and you know, my brother lives in Soho. We love just watching that movie and seeing New York as New York. Kind of as New York is currently. I mean, it's kind of New York is again, just like that movie. That movie's incredible, and you think about all the roles he's had. I mean, The Thing. I mean, talk about, again, an amazing cast just to be around these folks in the movies they've been in. I mean, we're talking about legendary, iconic films. I mean, The Warriors, if you haven't watched it, folks, go watch it. It is.
He's just an incredible actor. He's an incredible actor.
I mean, and then you're on there with, you have Remy Ma with you, too. What's that like having Remy around? I mean, just
I'm in love with her baby. That's all I'm gonna say. She brought her baby on set, and that little girl, I'm just like, wanted to steal her.
She's amazing, right? She's
Remy and you guys had such a great scene together.
You know, she's obviously a music star, and she hasn't done much acting. I don't know, but she came on, nailed it.
So
professional.
Humble as pie.
Obviously, this is silly to say, but she knew 100% of her lines and plus more. You know, like she was free to mess around in improv, and it was a great rapport.
And I feel like it was the best lighting day ever. When they were doing their scene, I wasn't in the scene. I wish I was. I was trying to like get in there. I'm like, do you want to add a scene with me and Remy? Is that cool? Which would make no sense. But I was watching the scene going, damn, they look really good. And I'm jealous. No, it was great. It was great.
Yeah. She was fantastic. What a sweetheart she was.
Yeah. Everyone was. I mean, we had such a great cast. We really did.
Yeah.
We got really lucky.
So I'm asking as a fan, and hopefully the people at home are going to like this question because I like it because it's my question. So of course I like it. That's why the show's named after me. What's it like being on a set with so many amazing folks, right? You look at is there a point where you're not just the talent, but you also respect the work, where you look at them and you're like, look, your filmography is amazing. You know, Thomas Waits is one of them, where you look at what he's done. I mean, some of those movies came out even before I was born. And you look at these movies, and he's had so many roles from movie to TV. Is there a point? I mean, do they mentor you? Do they give you any feedback? Are they that way? Or how does it work being around those folks? Because I know, like, and I'll put this in the only terms I know is sports. So, like, a lot of folks, when Carmelo Anthony joined the Portland Trailblazers, a lot of the younger players they're made it to the NBA. They're the top cream of the crop to even make it in a small league that makes a ridiculous amount of money. But Carmelo's a Hall of Famer, and they loved being around Carmelo. It's kind of like playing with Michael Jordan, right? You get to be around a great. How is that for you take that sports analogy, make it an acting analogy, and run with it? Like, what's that like?
They weren't like, oh, I've been through this. You know, I think if you ask, they will tell, and they will give you the history of what they've been through. But no, they were all, like I said, humble people that, you know, they'll tell you their story if you want to know personally. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think weirdly in our industry, that is kind of frowned upon is kind of somebody
who talks about themselves.
Who walks around trying to mentor people or, you know, teach them. That's kind of our industry is not like that. We're kind of sensitive about that kind of crap. But yeah, I mean, I remember asking Tom, because I know that he's super experienced. I was like, hey, playing drunk is very difficult. You know, not like Arthur drunk, but like realistic drunk. I mean, his was both, but like. And I asked him because I knew he had a ton of experience, and he went in, and he's also an acting teacher. Tom,
he's an acting coach, yeah.
He's a coach, and he went into just a quick little ditty about how he breaks down his drunk and plays his drunk. So that was a cool little thing he passed on to me, and I had asked him. He would never come up to me and say, hey, you know, let me clean up your drunk thing a little bit. Here, try this weak knees thing, and actors don't do that. Yeah. You know, but if it's asked, you know.
Well, unless they're directing, which I'm sure if he was directing it, I think it would be different. Yeah, I don't know. But I love being around them because they've been around sets their whole life. So it's the coolest thing ever because you're like, wow, they've been doing this forever. Yeah. Like that's how I felt around Armen Garo. I was like, oh my God, he's worked with some of my favorite actors.
That's awesome, because that's kind of like, as you know, it's that fine line. I remember when I got into the industry I'm in, it's like you're around big name people, right? So it's hard you go from, you're in the same line of work and you have to be, of course, be professional, but there's times where you're like, holy crap, that just happened. And you know, I've had that happen a lot in my career where you're like humble. People are like, well, where's your picture or something like that? I'm like, it was more sitting at the table and being a big boy at the big kids table that you don't do that. You got to act the role. You're going to be like, I'm here. This is weird. I'm not pulling out and doing the selfie. Because, I mean, I've seen that. I mean, I've been in yes, I've seen it in restaurants in New York. I mean, we went to a steakhouse in New York. When they sat us down, they said, there's a table in the middle. Please do not harass the people there. Of course, what do you do when you're told that? You look over, and I'm like, oh, it's just Frank Ocean, Bono, and, you know, what's his, not Dre's sidekick that they did the doc on. I can't, I'm so embarrassed and I love music. Anyways, they're sitting there, and here's, you know, Frank Ocean, and then the former head of something at Apple was there, and Bono, right? The great Bono. Who doesn't love you too? Like Bono, and he looked as cool as Bono could look.
Of course he did.
And of course you want to be like, run up to their table, but then you're like, no. And what did we watch? We watched people walk by, and I watched people get thrown out. 2 people thrown out. One person walked by and did the selfie thing, like they were like walking by, thought they could play it off. Boom, gone. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? It's not that important to take a selfie. Leave these people alone. So that's why I come up with that question, just because it's got to be different. You're on set, so you're all professionals working together. But I was curious, and Michael, you answered it, where if you had a question and you asked, you weren't going to get like, I'm not going to help you. Like, I'm professional.
Don't get me wrong, there probably are some actors particular about that.
Who knows?
You know, everyone's got their own thing, you know, that you might not want to ask them, hey, I've been, you know, thinking I've got this this character I'm working on, and you're like, son, go away, read your script, do your homework.
Yeah, we got lucky. We're lucky. We got lucky. Everyone was really, really lovely.
That's awesome. So when we come back, we're going to wrap up the show. We're going to talk more about when the movie comes out, so folks can go check out 645.
Let's get to the point with Eric Mitchell. Let's get to the point with Eric Mitchell. We gon' talk about sports and the politics. You gon' hear what you've been needing, and then you're dismissed.
When we were talking about the movie, let's make sure we talk about this great director. So how did Craig bring you guys all together? Obviously, there's a story in that. To get this amazing cast, it usually comes from the brain of some crazy director, right? That's usually, when you think of the greats, Tarantino, Stone, it's usually their ideas that come up with, Charlie Sheen would make a really good Oliver Stone in Platoon. And kind of, you look at the cast of characters around him. I mean, Johnny Depp is in that movie when we talk about Platoon, right? And you look at Tom Berenger and what's that? William Dafoe. I was going to say, that ugly-looking guy.
I love Willem Dafoe.
I love Dafoe, but he's Dafoe. I mean, those movies are good. So how did Craig? You guys know the story of how he brought the cast together? What was it like working with him? Those fun.
Yeah, all the magic
behind
Craig Singer's mind. No, Craig Singer and I met through a mutual friend who did the special effects makeup on our film, Vincent Guastini. I hope I'm saying his last name. He's the best. And he introduced us. I did a film with him. And then Craig Facebook messaged me. Can we say that? I wonder. That's the new way, right? It's the new way.
It works, yeah.
And he said, I have, a slate of films. And I read a couple of them. And I really fell in love with Tat and 645. And I said, let's do this. And then he was like, I'm also looking for the lead male role. And I gave him a list of guys. And he was like, what about Michael Reed? I was like, does he know I'm stupping Michael Reed? Is that why? Anyway, he fell in love with Michael. He saw his reel and he's like, who's this guy? I'm like, yes, I'm dating Michael. He's like, I kind of knew that, but honestly, he's amazing. And then that's how the cast of the two leads, that's how that started.
Yeah.
And then we became really good buddies. And then we've been trying to make this film for about 3 years now. And it's been really tough because I think people forget this, that if a studio's not behind a film and you're doing it independently, it's actually quite harder. So to find the funding, what I mean? Because you're finding independent contractors and you're trying to make this happen. So it almost happened so many times, and we finally did it. We got some funding, luckily, in the last year, and it all happened. And we got this amazing team together. Yeah. Jordan, our mutual friend, who produces it as well.
Craig is just he's a relentless worker, and he would not give up, and he believed in us and wouldn't give up, and he was absolutely awesome to work with. The dude is so laid back. He's been kicking around doing films since the 90s, right? Shooting on 35, and he worked for Disney for a long time. Yeah. He's got a great track record, but man, jumping into the indie scene, he just melded right in perfectly. I love his style. I love his respect for actors and crew. He's got a great thing he does where to get you in the mood, which I liked. Yeah. He'll play music like to get you into the scene, and it's really cool.
He just trusted us. He was open to how does it work now, opposed to how did it work in the 90s and early 2000s, because that's when he was directing a ton, and he was just open to letting me talk about it and how it's so different now and how we can do things for much lower budget or a bigger budget, all depends. And we're really lucky. He's the man behind it all, really.
He championed us completely through the whole thing, even though, people are like, let's get a big name in the lead. I'm not going to give you $1 million for this. And then he was like, Michael Reed's my lead, and that's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. And I love him for that.
And that is rare to come by because, when a studio does come up and says, oh, okay, we'll do this with a name. And he was like, no, I'm keeping my leads. And I was like, He's true blue, man.
There you go. That's good. That's good. So 6:45 comes out. We're gonna say fallish, winterish. Is that? We'll go with fallish, winter. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's come on. Everybody gets a free pass in 2020 because it's really hard to say when something's coming back. I mean, you recently found out you can go get your hair did now, so that's
so excited.
So the excitement here is happening, but that's good. So streaming is probably, but if theaters do open, but it is cool to see that. And before you guys go, just real fast, either one of you can answer this. Do you guys like this streaming to home? You're seeing Mulan come out at home. Bill and Ted is coming out. How do you guys feel about movies that are straight? I mean, I don't know any of the financial side. Obviously, I'm pretty sure Disney Plus pays pretty good money to put their stuff on there, so the actors are compensated. But how does it work? What's your thoughts on taking it to streaming? Is that good for you guys or do you depend on the theaters?
It's good. It's pros and cons, man. Everybody likes certain movies are fantastic to go sit in a theater and laugh with a bunch of people, or sit in a dark theater and get moody with people. You can't replace that with your living room. But at the same time, I mean, look, we're living in 2020. We have a gazillion things we could just sit down and watch high quality. And television now, TV shows are being shot with film production values like all over the place now. So we're not getting bad TV. We're getting great TV. And it's all kind of an amalgam. It's like it's formed this other thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I love going to the theater though. So
I mean, we all love the popcorn and the experience of the movies. I know I miss it. That's something about. I don't know if that smell is pumped in, but it's like that smell of popcorn and sitting in the theater. It's just something different. It's the lights go down. The sound system is way better than anything that you can put in your house. I don't care who you are. So hopefully we end up back in theaters, but it is good that we still can get films out at home. I mean, we have Bill and Ted to go watch. I know, Michael, you're going to go do that.
But also drive-thrus are coming back because of this.
That, yeah.
So that part's super cool. So hopefully 6:45 will be in a drive-thru.
That would be cool. We have to go find it. We have one not far from here. I know Metallica just did a show at drive-thrus.
Drive-thru movies.
The new thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a new thing. It's new. In LA, I'd like to see a drive-thru movie. That might be interesting. But,
oh my God, drive-in.
Drive-through movies or drive-in movies. We could do whatever you want. Drive-through, that'd be interesting. That'll be a slow rolling through. Like, is that in neutral? I don't know how we pull that one off. Well, Augie, we'll leave that to you. Augie's developing drive-through movies, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. So I want to thank you both for joining us today on To The Point. It's been, of course, a pleasure to have you both on. We're excited for your film. Make sure everybody out there check out 6:45. And here on the show, we're going to keep up to date on it. So we'll release it and let you guys know when it comes out. So make sure you check out everybody on their IMDb pages. And thank you again, Michael and Augie, for joining us today.
Follow 6:45 on Instagram.
So you heard follow on Instagram in case you didn't hear that. So. Make sure to follow on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we have a great show coming up for you tomorrow. And on behalf of our entire team at To The Point, we want to thank you so much for once again tuning in and watching one of our amazing episodes. So, as always, I'm your host, Eric Mitchell. Be safe, be strong, be smart, and God bless America.